So, hey, hello everyone. I hope everything is groovy at your end. I hope everything is fine at your end and you all are doing great. So, welcome to the day two of Azure 900 Bootcamp hosted by Azure Developer Community. And today we have alongside Shayan J. Fernandez, sir, and you know all is about his experiences and his achievements. He's a Gold Microsoft Student Ambassador, Microsoft Certified, and a multi-phase personality having expertise in cloud and technologies. So, welcome to the day two. So, before starting, I have some small announcement to tell you all. So, basically, it's about the Azure Developer Community channel. You can all, I'm sharing the link in the comment section. You can just join the Azure Developer Community Discord server. We are hosting a 7-day quiz on our Discord channel, and the quiz will be live at 9 p.m. today. So do participate in that quiz, and every day top five winners will be getting swags and everything, and some Microsoft merchandise of specifically. So do participate in the quiz for continuously 7 days, and you will get some privilege to win some exciting Microsoft goodies also. So over to you, Sharon.
Wow, that contest sounds very exciting and intimidating as well with all those goodies in the giveaway. So yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. So my name is Shreyan, and without further delay, I'll introduce myself in the final presentation when I'm doing that. So just let me know if you are able to see my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Um, so yes, welcome to the day two of this bootcamp, AZ 900. So my name is Shreyan Fernandez. I'm a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I have worked in a startup as well as head of AI and as the president as well. And I'm interning at KPMG India. I'm a hackathon enthusiast. I've participated in various hackathons right from my first year of engineering, conducted by various organizations like Microsoft and many more. The recent one was again by Microsoft and BIL, Bangalore International Airport Limited, where we bagged the first prize across the nation. And yeah, that is that. And then I'm an MTA certified in Python. And yes, I do write out my experience in my blogs, and I love to talk about technology. And so I have given a couple of sessions on the same in various global platforms like AI Summit and then a Cloud Summit and so on and so forth. And I even host individual sessions as well. And my domains of interest lie in artificial intelligence, blockchain, DevOps, web dev, extended reality, cloud computing, IoT, and robotics, and then Power Platform. So that's the link to my LinkedIn channel. I would You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you want to view my projects and the repositories that I have, you can definitely follow me on GitHub. If you want to follow my blogs and if you want to read all those blogs that I write out on AI and many other topics, so you can follow me on dev.to as well. Just a second. Yeah. Um, So, yes, with that, let's get into the agenda. So, what do you have in store today? I mean, I'm pretty sure if you guys have logged in yesterday and then you had a chance to, listen to the whole webinar. So you must be very clear by now that what do you mean by cloud, how things work, what is Azure, and a couple of basics around Azure, like how to create a resource and what are resource groups and a lot more terms were discussed yesterday. So, with that, let's see what do we have in store today. Right. So, firstly, we'll be discussing about what are the available IoT options on Azure. Right. So, IoT is a trending topic, and I mean, it's a very evolving topic in today's world, right? So many industries are using it. It's being used in healthcare and many other places. So let's see how can Azure provide you an option for that if you're planning something around IoT, right? And when to use Azure AI services. I'm sure I've spoken about this a little bit yesterday because we had a small time crunch, so I did stop it there. But today let's discuss in detail that what is there in store and let's see some cool demos around the same. And then why do we use DevOps and serverless? So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with these terms, but let's see what is DevOps and what is serverless today, and where to find out Azure about the app health. Like let's say monitoring is a very crucial thing when it comes to your applications, right? So you cannot just deploy your applications and then okay, hey, I'm done deploying. So what do I do now? No, you have to monitor them continuously, you have to check their application, what if your resources go down, like, lot more things. So let's just see how to do that as well in today's lecture. And how can Azure protect your workloads, right? So one question that everyone has when it comes to cybersecurity is that, yes, how is my data secure? How can you, hey Shreya, yesterday you were talking so much about Azure, and then you said these things, and it was very intimidating, but then how do I believe you that we have our data in safe hands? So yes, we'll discuss about that as well today. So let me see, what do you infer from this particular image? So the image that you can see on the screen right now, so what can you infer from that? Anyone in the chat can just let me know, like, what do you infer from this thing? Okay. Um, Fine. Let me go ahead because there's a lot more to discuss today. So this is basically all your devices, various devices. Like, let's say there is a car, there is a mobile, and I can see there is a log, there is a shopping cart, there's a washing machine, headphone, something related to healthcare, and there's a flight, lot more things, right? So all these things are connected to a cloud, right? So now one can imagine, hey, how can I connect my washing machine to a cloud? Right? Or how can I connect my car to the cloud? What are the uses of that? Yes, definitely this is possible in today's world because of this particular field called Internet of Things. So it's nothing much than your particular sensor or your particular device talking to the internet, for any purpose, to give out the data, to store the data, whatever it is. So basically it actually interacts with the cloud, right? It actually interacts, and then things go on there. You can analyze that data, you can do a lot more things with that. So what are these things? So it can be some environmental sensors, or you can have a barcode, QR code, OCR scanners connected. You can have a geolocation proximity sensor, sound sensor, accelerometer, smoke gas, alcohol sensors, flow level, pressure sensors, so on and so forth. So all these sensors can be connected. Now you can tell me, when I talk about all these sensors, is your phone also an IoT device? Yes, because definitely it's connected to the internet as well, right? So is that smart watch what you wear? Is that an device? Yes, that's definitely a device. What if I don't know, a few months down the lane, there might be evolved cars coming out, and I'm not sure what is the car name, but there was this car that was recently launched, I guess 2 years back, which was called like a smart car because it had all those capabilities of connecting to the internet, where you could have tracked your mileage and a lot more other things. So that's how IoT is helping in today's world, right? So this is just a brief just about IoT. There are a lot of protocols working in the back end, like I can just name like MQTT protocols, just for one, just to name one. But there are a lot more protocols working behind. But now let's come back to today's topic. Why did I tell about this? So let's see what Azure has in store for us. So this is where we'll talk about how Microsoft Azure is helping us out with that. So Microsoft Azure has a lot of services around the IoT Hub, as I told you about the marketplace yesterday. So there are a lot more listings on IoT related things on the marketplace as well. But one major thing that we talk about, we'll discuss today, is something about the Azure IoT Hub. Right, as we can see, there is small architecture on my left hand side where it is, there are devices on premises network, there are workstations, and there's a gateway through which it is coming to a public endpoint, and then from there it is going to a storage and then another public endpoint, and then there are other devices as well. So what can you infer from this? Basically, this is like a sending a telemetry data to the cloud, right? Azure IoT Hub is basically connecting all your sensors, collecting the data, and keeping it in the cloud. So now what do you do after collecting the data? You can just analyze it for various other reasons, right? So it can be for data analysis and so on and so forth. So IoT Hub allows you to have command and control in the particular area, right? So that is, you can have either manual or automated remote control of your connected, like the devices that you have connected, so that you can instruct the device to open valves, set target temperatures, or anything, like you can literally do anything. Like, let's, you can set a timer and say, hey, I have to stop it now. So you just click a button on your mobile saying that, yes, stop the timer now, and then the data goes to your IoT Hub, and then finally reaches, let's say, your washing machine or something. So it reaches there, and then it tells you, yes, yeah, I'm done, so I'll stop it now. So this is how you can leverage IoT Hub. Next platform that I would like to talk about here is the Azure IoT Central, which is like a dashboard that is given out to you. So there is no need for you to worry much about the back end of this, what's happening in there. I don't know much about. So basically, you have a UI here, which is lacking in Azure IoT Hub. But definitely, there is an Azure IoT Hub that might run in the back end when you even want to have your Azure IoT Central up and running. So here, this dashboard allows you to connect, monitor, and manage your IoT devices. Right? This has a UI, as you can see on the screen. So this is the UI. I'll show this to you in a while as well. Right? So you can monitor as and when your sensor starts sending telemetry data, or the error messages pop up and everything. So you can watch the overall performance across these devices in aggregate, and you can set up alerts that send you notifications when a specific device needs maintenance. Like you have 10 devices but you're not sure, like let's say there are 10 ventilators, especially during the second wave of COVID. Imagine you had ventilators powered by IoT, right? So now they are being used a lot, and there might be a chance that there is some ventilator number B, or sorry, ventilator number 3 or ventilator number 4 that is being overused, and now you don't know whether it might have a breakdown or what. So here you go, here is a solution. So you could have connected them to your this particular application, and then you could have monitored the thing very well, right? So that is how your um, this particular service works. Now the next service, the next, not a service, I can say the next product from Microsoft that is really 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 it amazed me when I used this for the first time. I had a chance to use this when had a chance to visit the Microsoft garage in my first year. So I mean, I have been working with microcontrollers for some quite some time now, and I have used NodeMCU, I've used RPi and a lot of other things. But when you work with such IoT devices, there is something that you need to keep in mind. That is the security. So your security cannot be uh, you know, what can I say, compromised at any cost, because that is something which is very very necessary in today's world. Like let's say you use like a simple node MCU and you have some crucial data that is being sent through node MCU. Do you know that I can hack your Node MCU or that ESP8266 expressive 8266? That's a micro controller, which is again having a Wi-Fi module on board. So definitely I can hack through that. I can get your information, and boom, you're gone, right? So that's how things are. But what I noticed is Microsoft kept in mind about all these things, and then they came up with this new board called as Azure Spear, and that is the product name. So that's the third product. So Azure Spear, which actually is like it has this thing on board MT33620. And this particular picture, what you can see, right, it is a simple development kit. It is used for prototyping and developing applications as well. So you can connect directly to Visual Studio, and from there you can push your code to IoT Hub. And then of course it has its own advantages, and it is very very secured. And if I just talk about this, I think the probably whole session will go on this, right? So if you're interested more about these, you can definitely go to Google and just give a quick search, and hey, what is Azure Spear? I want to know that. And Seed is the one who's manufacturing it. So the second part, apart from this, is that it has a Linux operating system that handles communication with security servers and can run on the vendor software as well. That's the second part. This is the first one. Second one I'm saying, it's not in the picture. So that is the second one. And then there is one specifically for the security, much more secured. It is also known as the AS3, right? So that has a lot more features as well. So after, like let's say, how do you connect? So after your Azure Sphere system has validated the authenticity of your device, right? If you have a device and the authenticity should be done, so only that if that is done, and if it is successful, if it remains successful, so the device then can interact with your Azure IoT services by sending all the telemetry data, the error information and stuff. So basically this is like your first watchman in the gate. So he says, hey, let me know if you are the right person to enter, show me your ID card. Yeah, so if you're good to go, only then he'll let you enter the thing, right? So that's how this functions. That was just a simple analogy. So before, yeah, that was all about the IoT services that are offered. But let me just show you whatever I just spoke on this thing as well, right? Because I've spoken a lot about IoT. Yeah, see, this is that particular IoT hub. So you can go ahead and create a resource. I'll just create. I think I had shown this yesterday as well, how to create a resource. Okay, I think I have that thing ready. The resource group is ready. So let's say bootcamp 1, and then I'm choosing this. And here you go. It's costing me 1,801. Initially, when I was using this, right, when I first started using it, it also had a free tier, if I'm not wrong. But now I don't see it here. Oh, here it is. So yeah, there is this free tier, right? So you can choose that, and it will say that, zero cost per month. You can have 8,000 messages per day, which is enough for me for any simple prototyping, right? So for me, it is fine. So I'll go ahead, and here's a summary. It says zero cost per month, and I can have two device to cloud partitions and stuff. So I can just go and create. That's how simple it is to create a, simple IoT hub, right? And then you can link your endpoints and then get that done. So with that, now the next thing that we'll have here is getting familiar with these terms, because these terms are something that will actually be needed when we talk about the further things, right? So firstly, what is a web api? An api that's accessible from servers that accept requests via http. You know how http requests work, right? So for example, like let's say post get request, for example. So you know how that works. So web api is basically dealing something around the same. So now next thing, web api endpoint. So what is this? The location of the code library, uh, the location of the code library where your code is being dumped or where it is there. So that is basically a web api endpoint. So I'll show that to you in a while, how do you generate them. And then the REST API, the design of the URL structure that's used to expose the API's functionality. So this is something, you will see this. So but for now, just get familiar with what these terms are, right? So when I talk about these later, so you won't be confused. Yeah, so with this picture, I guess any one of us can say what am I going to discuss in the next one, right? But still, any guesses? So what am I going to discuss after this? We finished the IoT thing. I showed you how to deploy an IoT simple architecture, like sorry, a simple resource around IoT. So all these actually form a part of your AZ900. They will definitely ask you why to use IoT Hub, why to use IoT Central, what is Azure Spear. You might get these questions, right? So that's why I'm discussing each and everything in depth today. Okay, so of course I just touched over all these topics yesterday, but today I'm just going to discuss a little more around the same. So okay, I think this picture, it's very self-explanatory, and yeah, if you have guessed it, yes, you guessed it right. I'm going to talk about the artificial intelligence now, and what umbrella of this particular thing is available on Azure. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, so I can tell that yes, there are, very very vaguely speaking, I can just say there are three categories. Firstly, something about machine learning, something you do with your data, right? Second, something about deep learning. So of course it's a subset, but here you can deal with pictures, neural networks, a lot more other things, right? So deep learning is a huge subset, and the data that you have in deep learning is very huge. And the next thing is your conversational AI, what we call them as bots in simple terms. So yesterday I told you about this IRCTC's Disha, right? So that is also a bot that is being used, and it leverages Microsoft technologies in the backend. So now with that in mind, now since we're clear, so now let us see what does Microsoft provide. So there is pre-built AI, which are also called as Azure Cognitive Services. Then there is conversational AI, Azure Bot Service, and then there is custom AI, which is Azure Machine Learning. So here you deal with a lot of data and all those predictions. Like let's say you want to predict something, if you want to do something like that. So definitely you have your Azure Machine Learning here. And let's say you want to create a simple chatbot on your website. So what you can do, you can use the knowledge base from let's say Wikipedia, because usually that is being used now. So you can take that, you can build a bot that you want of your choice, and then deploy it using your conversational AI, that is your Azure Bot Services. And then I think the Azure Cognitive Services, it's an umbrella actually, so it's a huge thing. So the next thing what you can see right in the next picture, a pre-built AI, so that is what your cognitive service consists of, right? There is vision. In vision you have computer vision, face, emotion, content moderator, video indexer, right? And in speech, you have text analytics, spell check, web language, and so on and so forth. In language, you have speaker recognition. Initially, there was something called as Lewis language understanding, intelligent service. Okay, that was also there. And then there is a knowledge, in which you have web search, images, so on and so forth. And then search. So I've actually shown how these work, how cognitive services work yesterday, but I don't know how many of you were there. So let me just show that quickly once again. I'll not spend much time around this today because we have actually discussed this yesterday. So let me go to something like vision, and let me go to custom computer vision. So I can show you a custom vision that I've already deployed, but let me just show you a simple demo. So what can you infer? Like for a person like me, for a human being like me, inferring anything from an image is not a big deal, right? But it definitely is a big deal for a computer, right? Because it doesn't know anything apart from one and zeros that you pass, right? Binary is something that computer understands, but apart from that, what does computer even know? So now, how do you tell computer, yeah, computer, just let me know what is there, right? I don't know what is there in this picture, so I want you to analyze. I'll pass like 1,000 images, analyze and give me the output. I cannot do that. I don't have that patience, right? So how do we communicate that to computer? So here you go. This there is already pre-built AI. As I said, it is named as pre-built because there is nothing for you to do here. You have to just give out your like when we study functions in R12, so there is this diagram that they show usually, right? So I'll just open up my paint. So there is a black box here, right? You pass something here, okay, and this is a function, okay, and it becomes f of x, right? Something like this. So something similar happens here as well. So this is a black box. You pass in your data, right? Your data, and then it gives you out the, it processes the data and gives you out the output. So that is how your that's why it's named as pre-built AI, right? And now let's see what is going on here. So a young man riding a skateboard, and it is 81% confident. Yes, he's kind of young. Okay, I don't know his age and stuff, but yeah, he's kind of young, and he's riding a skateboard. This is what the computer is saying, which is pretty much right? That's what exactly he's doing. So it's a snapshot of the same. So that's how you can do things intelligently with your computer, and this is all how your um, cognitive services work. There are a lot more. This is just about the vision I'm showing you, but there are a lot more. Like, you can see these umbrella, you can explore them on your own. So now, since this is also done, so let's now move on to the next part. Okay, that is serverless. So this is something that actually was new to me when I first heard the term. I'm like, hey, serverless. So there is no server in the backend or what? Like, how do I do it? No, there are servers in the backend. There you host your application. Just that, there is no need for you to worry about what's going on in the backend, or what is the infrastructure that is there in the backend, right? So it's a misnomer term because serverless is kind of misleading here. Definitely, for the in the first place, you might find it, hey, you're saying serverless and then there is servers, and why is it even named serverless? Is that's still a mystery, because that's nothing that you have to do with your backend infrastructure, right? So that's the thing. But don't get taken don't get carried away with this term serverless. Of course, there are servers. Without that, you cannot do anything, right? So now, with that, what is serverless then? So serverless computing is a term that is used to describe an execution environment that's set up and managed for you. So you just handle your code, you don't handle your infrastructure here, right? You can have HTTP request or REST API, so on and so forth. So you can create an instance of the service and then just add your code. So now, saying this, hey Shreyan, yeah, now I understood what is kind of serverless. I'm getting a hang of it. So now, how does Azure help me with that? What are the Azure services that are available? So here you go. What Azure offers you are these three things. Like, first thing, this is called the function apps. Okay, and this is called the logic apps, and this is called the event hub. So now, event driven applications. Okay, so this actually logo has a beautiful story behind it. So it's basically like a cloud that is executed in a flash, and then, like, combining both. Okay, I'll just open my paint again. So this is a small story. So this is your code. Okay, this is your code. This is how they have done. And then within a flash, and what comes out, right? This. So this is how your functions app logo is done, and that was one of the famous serverless things when it came out initially, right? A lot of them were building things around it. In fact, I have also built a couple of things around. So now your question is, uh, okay, how do I analyze which particular resource do I use? Should it be a function app, or should it be a logic app, or should it be the other one? So now here is my simple answer for that. So there are a couple of ways to look at it, right? It actually depends on your infrastructure. Now let's say you're not a software developer, right? You don't like coding. So what do you expect? I want to do my work, but I don't want to code much. So what do? You can go ahead and choose a low code platform. Now the next question, which is the low code platform in this? Yes, here is your answer. The middle one, what you see, right? This particular thing, that's your low code platform from Microsoft, offered by Microsoft. It's called the Azure Logic Apps. And then if you let's say you are good at coding and you want some more, what do you say, flexibility in your code. So then that is when you can go ahead and create this. Or let's say you have the code ready, your codes are ready, you just need an environment to deploy. So go ahead and use your um, functions app in that case. Or if you want to leverage something, like if you want to connect between many things and then you don't want to code, then go ahead and use the logic apps. So logic apps, since I told you that it is a low code platform, so one thing you can expect here is that your visual interface is great, like it has a visual interface and stuff like that. So those are the serverless offerings that are there. So when you deploy this, you don't need to ask, hey, how much PC do I sorry, how much GPU do I need, how much CPUs do I need, what are the other infrastructures that I need. No worries, that is already taken care for you. All you need to worry is about your deployment. So now with that, okay, so see, I deployed an Azure IoT Hub. So it is deployed as well. Okay, so this is how you deploy simple Azure IoT Hub. You can see something called as resource health. I'll be coming back to that later. So now, since I was talking about the function app and the logic app, I don't know if I've created a few. Let me just check. I did create both of them, but I'm not sure whether I have them ready now. Okay, this is not there. This is also not there. Never mind. We'll create one. So this is the creation template again, as you can see. And how do you want to publish your thing? Do you want a Docker container or do you want a workflow? So I'll choose the workflow here. Let's not complicate things. And then there are two tiers, standard and consumption based. You can choose that, on both of them. Usually consumption based is used in huge organizations, and best for entry level, pay only as much as your workflows run. So workflows is basically like, I'll come to the costing later on. Don't worry. Best for enterprise level service. Yeah. So standard is something. Sorry, I said consumption. My bad. It is standard. Standard is something that usually organizations use. Okay. So that is for a large scale. So with event based scaling and networking isolation. So you can just go ahead, fill this form, and then you'll have your logic apps ready. Once your logic app, let's see. Let me create one. I'm not sure how long will it take to create. I don't want to waste time. Bootcamp Azure Dev. Yeah, this looks fine to me. Yeah, it is creating a new group. That is fine. So I'll just click on hosting. What is there? Okay, you can see what are the workflows that you have to choose, and then if your thing increases, then there's this elastic nature that will help you out. So once that is done, you can just click on review and grade. Let me just see. Cool. I'll just go ahead and, because I don't want to waste time around this, so I'll just go ahead and click on. So yeah, see the runtime stack that I've chosen here is Node.js. You can choose any other runtime stack that you want. There are a lot of stacks that are available already, and you can choose them here. I'll just not waste time because I want to show you how things work inside once you create it. Okay, so till that is being created, let's discuss a few more things and come back. So this is how we create a logic app. Similar way, you can create a function app, then write your code in that. So with that, and yeah, I was telling you something about the costing, right? So which one do you choose, and how do you choose and stuff like that. So of course, one runs on your workflows, one runs on the number of times it is being executed. Okay, so based on that, you'll have to choose that which scale is better for you. Okay, So that is how you do your uh, things around these serverless technologies. Now with that, now we have the next thing that is to discuss. So again, why am I discussing all these things today? That is very simple, because this will definitely be, this also has some weightage. I think, I'm not sure of the weightage, but it has some weightage in your AZ900 examination. Okay, so now the next thing that we have in hand here is your DevOps. So now, as I told you, DevOps is not technology, it's kind of like a practice. Okay, as you can see in this picture, so first you first you plan, code, build, you test it, release it, deploy it, okay, operate it, and monitor it. And this doesn't end here. It's not like, a one time thing. It's so it goes on infinitely, right? Okay, you have, like, let's say, Outlook, for example, Outlook from Microsoft. So it wasn't just released and then just, hey, I'm done, I've released my product, now I'm free to go. No, they have releases every time, right? They have bug releases. And then, I don't know, I can just say about this. So there was this workbench that I was working with. So it was released, I guess, years ago, but from that time till the time I had used it, it was undergoing updates every now and then, every like fortnight once, or I'm not sure, like, it was going, it's so continuously updating, right? So that is how technology works, or any app works. So you need to update it, be it your Google Meet, be it your Microsoft Teams, Outlook, so on and so forth. So all of them needs update. So now, even these updates, it's very easy for us to say, hey, I'm rolling out update, done. But now you never know how is it going to exist your current code base, how is it going to go ahead from there. So there are set of practices that people follow, and this is what we collectively call as DevOps. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is what DevOps is, right? And if I just keep talking about it, this is a very huge topic. I mean, I can go on and on and on, and what is orchestration, what are microservices, what is that, what is this. There are a lot more things, like, so, and then what is CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Then there is version control. I mean, all of you must have heard about Git and GitHub, but there are a lot more things apart from that as well. So now with that, hey Shreyan, I'm okay. I'll study about DevOps. So now let me know, what are the options of DevOps on Microsoft Azure. Yes, I'm coming there. And wow, our what is this? Logic app is deployed. So here you can see something called as workflows. Okay, so if you go to workflows, I'll come to the DevOps thing again, because I'm just going as per the resources are being deployed. I was telling something of the workflows. So click on add stateful or stateless. I'll go with the stateful. Let me name it as post. Cool. So this is being saved. Yes. So my workflow is ready. So now, as I told you, there are many options that your Logic app gives you. Okay. So I told you it is a low code platform. So here you go. This is your low code platform. This is your drag and drop interface. This is where you get your connectors. Connectors are, basically something, those are those tiny black boxes that are already coded for you. All you have to do is go there, select it, like, let's say, when a HTTP request is received. Okay. I'll just choose this. So you can just configure, yeah, what is my method. So I had given it post, right? So let me just post. And what are the headers, what are the things, and then what is the success thing, done. So now, next thing that I want to add, another thing. Okay, so when I get a post, I want to post it to, like, let's say, a SQL database. Cool. So now what I do, I just go ahead and search, SQL database, SQL server, and execute a query. I want to execute a query. Let's say I can just do this. I can click on create, and so on and so forth. You can create your workflows. Okay, so now let's say you don't want to, you still want to code. Coding looks cool to you, so you want to code. So here you go, you have a coding platform as well. So here you go, you have everything ready, right? So this looks like a JSON schema, right? So that's how things work here. So this is how your what do you say, logic app works, and the standard logic app. Functions apps remains the same. So this is not a function app, don't get confused. The functions app remain the same. Again, there also you can create workflows, but you have your pre determined coded. You can automate things. These are, all these things, serverless and stuff, they are mostly used in automations. Okay, so very very much used in automations. So with that, I guess this is done. Now let's see what were DevOps, because we're talking about DevOps. Again, go to create a resource. And where is, yeah, here you go, DevOps. So these are all the services that are offered to you on DevOps. So there is Azure repos, Azure boards, Azure pipelines, Azure artifacts, Azure test plans, so on and so forth. Okay. So of course, services keep on adding because Microsoft Azure is such a place, right? It keeps on expanding every time I log in. I mean, this is how I like to put it in. Every time I log in, I see something new. I'm like, oh wow, there's a new feature again. So that's how it is. And over the time, they've added a lot more features. So then there is something called as this Azure Dev Test Labs, right? Azure Dev Test Labs. It provides an automated means of managing the process of building, setting up and tearing down your virtual machines, and you have your ARM templates now, which with which you can deploy things. So now, hey Shane, what is ARM templates? It's nothing but Azure Resource Manager templates, and in which it follows kind of, like a JSON schema, and then you say, I want these many things, I want these many things. That you just deploy the template, and then boom, you're good to go. All those things are deployed for you. So that's how it works. Okay, so you can go ahead and create your Azure Dev Test Labs. I'm not creating one because we are running short of time. uh After that, yes, so now this is what we had. We just saw what are the services. I just give you gist of these services. So I'll just after like once we are towards the end of this session, I'll give you the resources to go and revise all this. I'm pretty sure you must have understood, no doubt, but still, it's a lot to catch. Even when someone told me this for the first time, I was like, okay, 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 fine. I forgot what was discussed before. So don't worry, I'll be giving you out all those references at the end. Okay. So now I told you yesterday. Okay, before coming to this, let's just see what are the other points. This is one way. Okay, this is one way in which you can um, access Azure, right? In Azure portal, you can work with the cloud. What are the other ways? Shren, now, okay, fine. You told me this. Now I want some challenging way, like I want to do it with other ways as well. So how do I do? How do I, kind of access this cloud without doing that? So yes, there are other options as well. One is called your PowerShell, as I told you, this Cloud Shell or this PowerShell, right? You can do it with and that as well for any, like, let's say administrative tasks. PowerShell, yeah, for any administrative task, so on and so forth. You have all these things ready, right? It looks something like this. Okay. In fact, recently when I was working with in the blockchain workbench, it gave me a Cloud Shell where I had to paste a command to, kind of go ahead and deploy one finally. Okay. So that's how your Cloud Shell works. Sorry, your PowerShell works. And then after that, you have Azure CLI. Let me just show you how that looks like. Yeah. So this is your Azure CLI. Through this also you can do, like, let's say you want to log in. So the command you use is azid login, and then you're good to go. You can log into this thing and then do your thing. Now, the most interesting thing here, like that's what I like here. So you have something called as Azure Mobile App as well. Yes, you heard it right, Azure Mobile App. So yes, this is how it looks like. You can also access Azure using your mobile. Yeah, so that is that. And then now let's say you want to deploy something. So as I told you initially, so you don't want to name everything, so you want to just lay, hey, so like, when we go out for grocery shopping, your mom or your mom makes a list. Okay, I want 1 kg of rice, 2 kg of this, 3 kg of that. Accordingly, you just go and you just give it to your shopkeeper, and then, hey, this is what I want, pack it and keep it ready. So he'll just pack it up for you. Similarly, this analogy can be kept for your ARM template, the Azure Resource Manager template. That's another way in which you can deploy your resources, right? So that was about how do you access Azure apart from the portal. So with that, and now let us see. As I told you, deploying applications is a big deal, of course. But the next part, the next thing, what you do, like as I was discussing in this section of, I guess, the DevOps, where did the slide? Yeah, see, there was something about this monitoring, which is a very integral part of any application. Without monitoring, your application might be like boom, gone. You don't even know how that happened, right? What just happened will be like response, right? No, but the thing is, your IT organization must have an insight onto the health and performance of the cloud based application, which is very necessary, right? You have to keep a track of that. So how is Azure helping you out in this? Okay, so I'll come back to this slide, but I'll show you practically what is happening. I just told you I'll come back to a point later in the cloud when I was discussing, right? Can you see something called as this resource health, right? Yeah, see, there's a resource health. So one health events was there. Let's see what are they. Unknown resource health event at Thursday received the following information regarding: we are currently unable to determine the health of this IoT hub. We recommend using Azure Monitor to check if this IoT hub is impacted by regional outage. Now, as I told you, servers are running, and that's how your services are also running. Now the question is, won't these servers have wear and tear? How does Microsoft manage it, right? How does the data center manage it, or whatever it is? How, when you send a request, it goes through a hypervisor, it goes in that, and then you have these servers in which you're being allocated. So that's the way it flows. But what if your server, your particular server, is down for maintenance? Right, so as I told you, there is definitely copy and stuff kept in place if you are having that, some other mishappening or stuff. So but still you have to keep a track of your thing, right? So that is where this shows. Now, as of now, my particular resource, that is my IoT hub that I have created, doesn't have any issues. It doesn't have any downtime. So if you want, you can, like, get a log of the same. So what is the resource? Yes, IoT hub, right? Available status unknown, because I merely deployed it, like, 10 minutes back, I guess, right? So it will take some time. And what's the title? And okay, what is the summary? What is the problem? This is how you get the log. Okay, this is how the log is being generated. What's the duration? 3 hour 47 time span. Okay, this is going on. If you are having problems, troubleshoot to get recommended. Okay, troubleshoot tool to get the recommended information. So this is how you can monitor the things, right? It is not just one. So this was through using the resource health. Okay, there is something called as the resource health. Now, now the next question is, hey, okay, fine, I'm sure, like, I need some more advisory on how to which particular thing do I get, how to go ahead with that. So the recommendations are available to you through something called as Azure Advisor. It is available on your Azure portal, and the API can set up notifications and alert you to your new notifications as well. So now let me see if I can find one. Okay, but this was about your um uh, uh, what do you say, your resource health. So let me just see Azure Advisor template. Okay. Mm, yeah. So what Azure Advisor is. So here, let me just open this image in a new tab. Right. So here you go. It is saying, you see there is a high impact on this thing, operational excellence. Basically, it's like a personal advisor. It is saying you how to do things, how are things going on, right? You have these services as well available on Microsoft Azure. So it tells you about the reliability, it tells you about the security, it tells you about the performance, it tells you about the costing, and also the operational excellence. So this tells us about the operational excellence. But apart from that, there are a lot more. See, there is cost, there is security, there is reliability, like, how it is used to ensure and improve the continuity of your, business critical applications. And then the performance is used to improve your speed of your applications. And then the security is used to detect your threats, vulnerabilities, and any other, such kind that might, lead to your security breaches. As I told you, this is a very secure cloud, right? And cost is used to optimize your costing. If you want to reduce somewhere, cost cutting. And then, if you're using, you're having some extra cost that is being wasted simply for no reason, right? That's all taken care. So that was about your Azure Advisor. Now I told you there's another thing, right? There's one final thing which is called as an Azure Monitor. Okay, so let me just go through the slide one. So as I told you, whatever I've just told you so far is just summarized in this slide, right? Handling future plan downtime. As I told you, downtime might be there. There might be an outage in the server, and a lot more other things, right? Any other intermittent issues. So all those things are handled. So now there are three services that you can use, as I told you. Monitor, I just told you what is a monitor used for. Then there is Azure Health Service, sorry, Azure Service Health or Azure Health Service, whatever you want to name it. So I told you how that works. I, in fact, showed you a log of the same. I told you about the Azure Monitors, sorry, Azure Advisor. So now let's see what is Azure Monitor. Okay. So here you go. This is your Azure Monitor. So this is a picture that is comprehensively telling you what Azure Monitor does. So on my left hand side, you can see there are a list of the sources of logging the metric data that can be collected at every single layer of your application. Okay, of your application, and this can be anything like your operating system or your network or so on and so forth. In the center here, you can see that it is collecting. Now it is sending through this logs. Okay, you can see how that data is being logged, and metric data is being shown in the central things. Now after that, on the right hand side, you can see that this particular data is used in a number of ways, right? Insights, visualize, analyze, respond, and also you can integrate. Okay, so you can also have it integrated with Power BI things as well. So you can set up your email alerts, SMS alerts, so on and so forth. So this is how your um, Azure Monitor works. Okay, so these are all your monitoring services available on Microsoft Azure, right? So with that, now let's move on to the next topic, right? That was all about the peak. I just give you a overview of how things work, how can you use things, and lot more lot more information around the same. I guess if I had to show you something else on the portal, I think I've shown you pretty much. So let's see. Okay, something that I missed was in the marketplace. Let's see what are the things available in the marketplace. As I told you, there are 8,000 plus listings in this marketplace. I don't know now where it has reached as well. This 8,000 was once a long time ago. Okay, so here you can see there are a lot more offerings here, right? So Azure Digital Twins, IoT Hub. I don't know. One digital twin project that I had worked on was like this motorsports. How I actually use Microsoft Azure to do this project. Okay, so there is a biker. I am a fan of motorsports. Okay, by the way. So I have seen that many bikers lose their um, life, right, when they're in that race or when they're doing that. So what happens in between the lap, there might be a issue with the particular vehicle, be it a car or be it your bike. So now what can you do? Okay, you can do one thing. So to avoid that, you can alert him before, yes, see there is an issue, but to alert him you should be knowing that there is an issue. So what you can do, that whole bike can be kind of cloned to your PC through 3D model of the same. So what happens, so you have a picture like rather than the dashboard, yes, see this is the bike. Okay, the battery level is going down, okay, the fuel level is going down, okay, the PSI of the tire is not pretty like normal, so there is something wrong with that, or the chain has some issues, right? So on and so forth, n number of issues can come out. So if you can just monitor them and create a clone of that thing, so even when the bike is going there in that in that lap, so you can monitor that and see, hey, you can alert your particular bike is having some trouble, so come back to the pit stop. That's how you can do this. In fact, this is not just applicable for motorsports, but also for various other things like uh, transport services, where you can say, hey, the this tire is worn out or something like that. The engine temperature is pretty high, it might cause trouble. There is a lot more other things. And where it can be very specially used is for defense based applications, right? So this was a project that I worked on, and I leveraged Microsoft's technologies to do that. And I had used IoT Hub, I had used Event Hub, I had used a REST API call on I guess Logic Apps. Yeah, it was Logic Apps, and then I had hosted my web app on Azure. So that's how I leveraged this one. But then again, Azure Digital Twins also does something around the same. So you can create a next generation IoT connected solutions that model the real world, right? Because IoT is something that is ever expanding. From just IoT, it came down to IIoT, like industrial Internet of Things, and it is evolving so much. A medical field also is kind of taking this IoT very very seriously in that case as well. So then there's Azure Maps, and then there's time series. So all these services, and it is not just ending here, right? Oh, I didn't show you how IoT Central looks. Azure IoT. I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, so Mm, is this that dashboard? Not this one. Sorry. I'll just show you in a picture. So basically, I think I'd shown you, but okay, I'll just see. It's asking me to create. Here you go. So I'll just go to this. This is okay. It's called apps.azureiotcentral.com, and this is where you can create your interactive dashboards. You can have a lot of things here. So of course this also uses some things in the backend to give you that dashboard, right? So you can have IoT hub in the backend as well. And then here you can see you can create a custom app, so you can just go ahead and do all these things. You can just click on create. After that, okay, I've chosen my directory, that is student ambassadors, and I've chosen my Azure subscription as Visual Studio Enterprise. Southeast Asia is what I'll be choosing for now, or you can choose West Europe as well. And then you can just click on create. I'm not creating one right now. Okay, so that's how you can create your own thing, and then leverage all those things as and when you want. So this is how your Azure IoT Center looks like. And let's see what I think. I created an application. Yes, here you go. This is just a template application that I've created. Okay, so here you can see the device template is what, and then smart knee brace. Okay, the device status is no value, that's not available, but there is something being generated here, right? There are some logs that are being generated. What's the device temperature, and that device is connected, my god. What's the battery level, what's the firmware update, and so on and so forth. So you can see there's an interactive dashboard, right? So now, of course, I'll delete this later on. It's incurring me some cost, but no issues. So now, since you have the whole idea of this, now let's talk about a little bit, not very much, a little bit about the security services that are available. So defense in depth is something, it's a strategy that uses a series of mechanisms to slow the advance of an attack that aims at acquiring unauthorized access to the data. Like as I told you, once your data is with your um, someone else, right? Let's say Microsoft is also, like, something you might say, hey, how can you be so sure that my data is secured under Microsoft? So yes, they have their own architecture for that. They have their own systems for that, right? One of them, I can just say, layer this one. Okay, this is how we visualize it. First comes the physical security, identity and access, then comes the perimeter, and then comes the network, and then comes the compute, then comes the application, and then comes your data. So what is physical security layer now, right? It is the first line of defense to protect your computing hardware, okay, in the data center. Like, it's not like, array, I gave my data center hi gayab ho gaya, right? So it shouldn't be like that. So it must have things in place. Your data center must have um, what do you say, your data center must have things in place. It cannot be like, just like, some dummy warehouse where you can do things. I just read somewhere a few days ago, I don't know which company was that, but their data center was apparently contaminated. Okay, and which led to a loss of data. So such things must not happen in a data center, very honestly speaking. So Microsoft has kept that in mind, and their data center is, I mean, they had also planned something about this underwater data center as well, if I'm not wrong. So they have things in place. So that is something about the physical layer, physical security layer. Then comes identity. It's like no one can, like, let's say I want to access the data center, I want to go in my data center. No, we are not allowed. Only people who are there with certain identity can definitely enter, but not everyone. Okay, who has the access to that infrastructure is something very critical, and not everyone can access that. And even, you should have a single sign on and multi-factor authentication, right? A lot more other things are ensured that, and everything is being logged. Who's accessing the data center, who's accessing this particular server, even the maintenance staff, they are also under very tight scrutiny. Okay, then the perimeter layer, and This uses the DDoS, right? Distributed denial of service protection, to filter your large scale of attacks before they can cause your denial, okay, of service for the users. Okay, it shouldn't be like users are being denied. No, that cannot happen. So this layer handles all those things. Now comes the network layer. Okay, so this particular layer limits the communication between those resources through segmentation and your access controls. Okay, so this is about your network layer. Then comes the compute layer that secures your underlying resources, be it a virtual machine, so on and so forth. So basically, it secures your virtual machine. Okay, and then the application layer, this helps you to ensure that your applications are safe and free of any vulnerability, security related vulnerabilities, right? And finally comes a data layer, that's the final one. um, this controls your access to business and customer data that you have to protect. Okay, so this is something that is there, and this is the model that they follow, right? And now, talking about this, there is something else that we can see. CIA model. Okay, it's called confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, so all these three things come under something called as your security posture. Okay, so what is security posture? So now this is what your organizations, like let's say you have an organization, so it's that ability of your organization to protect from and respond to your security threats. How do you protect it from a security threat, and how do you respond if there is any such threat? So the common principles that are used to define this particular security posture that I was talking about is nothing but these three things, that is C, I, and A: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, the principle of confidentiality, like it is very much in depth if I just go on talking, but for now just remember that there are three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability, that form your security posture of any organization. Okay, so now after that, what you have is your firewalls. I mean, pretty much of us have been familiar with this thing because Windows, our machines have firewalls, right? Our personal computers have firewalls. So something similar to that is also available on Azure. It's called the Azure Firewall. Okay, it's a managed cloud-based security service which helps you to protect your resources in your Azure virtual networks. Okay, so there are virtual networks. I think I had shown you yesterday. Let me just show you a virtual network here. I think I had deployed a resource a couple of days back. Sorry, not here. Think it was in Quorum. Yeah, here you go. See, there's a virtual network here, and then you can control things. See, there's a firewall, there is security, a lot more other things are there. See, this is how things work. Defender for cloud, like just like what we have Windows Defender. There's something for, oh my goodness. Okay, firewall is here, right? See, no firewall exists on this virtual network, but you can, if you want, you can go ahead and add. So with that, I would like to show something else as well. Like, let's see it practically. I had deployed something yesterday, a database, right? So even that must be secured. So how is that happening? Yes, here you can let couple of people whom you want to access this. It's not like anyone can go into that, and I can do it from anywhere. So there are firewalls and virtual networks here as well. See, you can set a rule name, you can set particular IP. IP addresses you must be familiar, right? It starts from 0.0.0.0 uh, all the way to 255.255.255.255. So there are these many IP addresses available. So now let's say I just create a dummy thing here. Okay, I let all of them enter. Okay, you shouldn't be doing this. I'm just showing you how to add this here. Okay, so 255.255.255.25. So basically all these guys can enter me. So basically anyone in the world can is now free to enter my this thing because I've given them the permission on my own. Okay, so when you're my client IP address is this. Mm, yeah, so that is how you do it, and then you can add. If you don't want, you can just delete this rule, gone, boom. Okay, so this is how you do it, and then you can also, like I think you must be knowing what is um, the TLS. It's otherwise known as transport layer security, right? That is also something you can set it up here. The what is the minimum TLS version that you have, and I love Azure services. Even your Azure services, if they have to access this, you have to do this. So yes, right, and then you can click on save. If you want to add a client IP address, you can do that, right? You can do anything on this. So this is something that will answer your question around the security and what are the firewalls and stuff like that. And now, as I told you, there are DDoS attacks that happen. So Azure also has your DDoS protections as well. Okay, so there are again service tiers in the DDoS protection of Azure. One is called the basics tier, and then other one is called the standard tier. So there are a lot of other benefits associated with both the tiers as well. So what kinds of attacks can your DDoS protection help you prevent? Okay, yes, I go with the standard tier. What can I expect out of that? Your volumetric attacks, okay, your protocol attacks, your resource layer attacks, all these can be prevented using your DDoS level um, protections. So this is how, and there are a lot more. I mean, if I just talk on and on and on, it just goes like that. So since we have already overshot the time, I'm just stopping it there. But don't worry, I'll give you the resources that you can follow, because it is a huge topic. If I talk about the security that you have, like you can just go ahead and create your VM and you can play around with that security. You have to allow these users to access, as I was just showing you in the simple database, right? This is simple database. Imagine how much. Let me just see if I can catch hold of a VM and show you. Right, I have deployed a couple of VMs here. Let me see. Yeah, quorum dev. Yeah, here you go. There's a VM. Right. Let me scroll down. See, monitoring has all these, automation has all these, support plus troubleshooting has all these, right? Performance diagnostics, resource health. Okay, I have to install a couple of things, but that's fine. So here you can go to networking, and then voila, you can see there are these many protocols, TCP protocol. If you want to add an inbound port rule, you can go ahead and add here any source that you want, or do you want particular IP address, service tag, application security group, right? If you want any destination is okay, or if you have particular choice in that. And what protocol do you want to have? UDP, TCP, ICMP, what protocol do you want to follow? That is also available. What's the priority? You can change the priority if you want. What's the port name, right? If you want, and you can give a description. Hey, this is just a thing I'm trying out. And then what are the port ranges? Star stands for everything, but if you want to add a port range, you can add that as well. If you're not sure what is that, see, hover there and it'll show you what is the port range. Okay. This star basically asterisk or star, whatever you want to call it, this basically allows everything. Okay, everything to allow access this port. Okay, all ports can access this place. And what is the priority? Again, you can see 100, 200, 300, 330, so on and so forth. There are a lot more. So this is how you can just go around and play this. I would definitely recommend every one of you to go after this webinar, to go out and try these things, whatever I've shown you on the portal in a hands-on fashion. With that, I would like to conclude today's session. So uh, just a small note before that. So after that, now what next? I've done doing this. So as I told you yesterday as well. So after this, the next thing that you can do here is firstly head on to Microsoft Azure, as I was saying, and you can go there. You can try out those services that I just showed you, because I just showed you that couple of them are perfectly free, right? IoT Hub had a free tier, so go there, check out, and if you have some interest on IoT, just see how can you work around that. Oh, I didn't show you the endpoints, I'm sorry. um I'll just show that. Bootcamp, I have deployed one, and in the keys here you must be having an endpoint. Okay, yes, this is subscription ID, but in the overview tab, yeah, in the devices, you can add any number of devices that you want. Okay, and if you want, you can add a device here, but wait, I'll just show you. Okay, not this. Home, bootcamp. Yeah, see, there is a URL here which can also serve as an endpoint, but there are keys as well. Identity. Okay, let me go to workflows. Um, it should be in the workflows. Don't worry, it will be in the workflows. Yeah. Mm, access keys. Okay. See, if you want, you can generate a access key. Okay. I'm generating an access key. So go to back to the overview, and you can see that there's a URL that also is being generated for me. As of now, it's showing ding because it is kind of still. I haven't done anything with this. So once you do something, your URL also is being generated here. If you want to see how to work around with this particular thing, again, you can go to that same learning path that I had shown you yesterday. Uh, Working with creating intelligent health bots with Azure Health Bot, because I have done that thing there and I've documented it for all of you. You can try it out with that. But again, you have access keys, you have many more things to work around with this, and that's how you uh, kind of integrate things, right? You can integrate a lot of things with that, and that is something, your endpoints. Yeah, see, built-in endpoints. This is what I was searching for. Yeah, so see, there is an endpoint compatible name, and then there is an endpoint here. If you can see, there is an endpoint. You can just copy this to your clipboard and let's see how it looks. See, don't worry, I'll be deleting this. Don't try to copy this endpoint. So yeah, see here, this is the endpoint that you can use. So I'll just save it for your future uses, but I'm not using it anyway, so it's fine. So this is how you can work around. So now, how do you learn all these things? Whatever I've shown you so far, go to Microsoft Learn platform, okay, and you can learn for free and earn trophies, and then you can showcase that on your profile. With that, I would like to conclude today's session, and thanks a lot for attending this session. And I hope you understood something out of this, not just on the theoretical side, but I also try to inculcate some practical aspects of the same. So again, head over to Microsoft Learn for all those resources what you want that I've just discussed today. So you can just go to Microsoft Learn and Azure Fundamentals. And in this, we have this covered part 3 and part 4. So you can revise all part 1 to 4 before giving your exam. So we'll be covering the last two parts tomorrow. And yeah, that's all for today from my side. And thanks a lot. Over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Sharon. Thank you for giving such beautiful insights on Microsoft Azure. We really enjoyed the day too, and I hope the audience also enjoyed the day too. And you have done an incredible part on this. So one announcement from my side. So again, those who are participating in this, like multiple colleges, you are from multiple colleges. So we will inform you through your mail when is your quiz specific time, exclusive quiz for your college, and you have to participate in that quiz only. And other exciting information from our side is we are launching 7-day quiz. So you have to participate in that quiz, and it will be going live in 20 minutes. It is starting from today, and it will be going on like consecutively for 7 days. So do participate in that quiz, and every five winner will be getting every day the Microsoft merchandise. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, Shane, for giving the beautiful insights on Microsoft Azure. See you guys tomorrow then. Thank you everyone.
See you. Bye.